Yo, what up, what up, what up, and welcome back to Pnoid News. Man, listen, so, we got like 1,500 people come out and watch the last stream in like 2 hours. So, like I'm saying, we gonna ring this bell for all the hell it's worth. I apologize to those of y'all who are, anti-Nick, but I have some things to say, right? Like, when you start studying stuff, as an in general thing, when you start studying the world and you take time to sit back and vibe out and watch the world as a whole, what you end up like really looking at is real distinctions. And where I come from Pennsylvania, right? I'm an Italian in Pennsylvania. I'm an Appalachian in Pennsylvania. I was a mobster's kid after the mob got shut down, and then all the mills left in Pennsylvania. I'm from the Rust Belt in Pennsylvania. The town right beside me is called Steelton. I worked in the steel mills when I was younger, after they reopened, and we had to rebuild everything from scratch. I have a lot to say. I have a lot to look at when it comes to it. But I know what it is that a lot of people came here for, right? Like, I know what it is that individuals stood here and came for, right? Like, I know what this is. So when it comes to it, we're going to stand here and watch this the way it needs to be watched. If that makes any sense. So, without further ado, we're going to let Nick motherfucking take off, right? And say the things that he needs to say. Bro, listen, why are you not moving, you stupid mouse? Right? We're gonna let Nick say some stuff.
Our first story, we're going to get into this news about this weird Israeli government official that got caught for pedophilia in Nevada. This is a crazy story. And this may appear to be an isolated incident. We're going to talk about the actual case, but I want you to pay attention because this is not about the case itself. This is about how our country works. And you'll see what I mean by that. When you listen to this story, understand at the outset, this is not about one guy who is a pervert and a sex criminal that got in trouble. This is about how this country works and who runs this country. This is about how the Jews operate and why they're so effective. This is, in a word, a case study. This is a case study. It is a demonstration of how our system works. So this is a shocking scandal, and this is a story that broke a couple of days ago. Earlier this year, an Israeli intelligence official, he is the chief executive of the Israeli National Intelligence Directorate, or the Israeli Cyber Directorate, very high-level intelligence, national security official. He is so high up that he actually serves directly under Bibi Netanyahu. He's in the United States, in Las Vegas, Nevada, for a cybersecurity convention, hosted, coincidentally, by our FBI and NSA. Okay? So this is the head of Israel's National Cyber Directorate, high-level guy working for Netanyahu. He's in the United States, coincidentally at a convention hosted by the NSA and the FBI. He gets swept up in a sting operation for child sex criminals, which was being carried out by the FBI, by federal law enforcement, and by local law enforcement in Las Vegas, Nevada. It was a sting operation. Federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, they were posing as underage children and soliciting sex from adults so that they can be arrested. I'm sure you've all seen this before. They call them pedophile hunters. Sometimes it's live streamers. Sometimes it's law enforcement. And that by itself is not shocking. there are sex criminals all over. And yes, there are American sex criminals. There are Israeli sex criminals. You might look at this story and say, that looks pretty bad. That is a Jewish Israeli who is trying to lure children under the age of 16 for sex in America. You might say that's pretty bad. But you would also say, punish that person. That person's crimes are his own. But this is where the story gets interesting. This guy gets picked up with a number of other people, and unlike all those other people, somehow he is able to flee the United States. He is able to get his passport, get his belongings, jump on a plane, and fly home to Israel, where he will evade prosecution from the United States. Everybody else is going to jail. All the other sex criminals that got arrested, they're all going to face a trial and they're all going to jail. This guy somehow, some way, was able to get a passport, get on a plane, even though he had this big FBI sting and serious charges, felony charges. He was able to get on a plane and fly home. And accordingly, Israel will give him safe harbor because he is a Jew. Because he is Israeli government, he will be protected.
All right, so let's talk about this, right? Because this is an important thing. Now, this is not just something that happens, right? You know what I mean? Like without the permission of our government. And this is kind of my problem. This is what I've been bitching about for years, right? When we talk about these type of things, right? When we talk about like Israel's connection to the United States, right? When we talk about the Jews being able to have special privileges that everybody else don't get, what we're talking about, right, is we're talking about power, right? We're talking about sovereign power. And what does, you know what I'm saying, like Machiavelli say about this? He says the sovereign is he who decides the exception. Really important to understand, right? This is really important to understand that. Who is the sovereign? That's a real ass question. We know that this is America. We know that this America was founded by nobles from England, from Britain. We know that's who founded this place. We know that that's who's been in charge of this place. We know that that's who's been running this place. We know that the rules up until 1965 were immigrants who were white and of good standing. Christian men. Where are the Anglos? Why isn't an Italian Mexican speaking about this? Why am I an Italian speaking about this? Why is it everybody who bitches about this is not an Anglo? Right? I mean, on like larger platforms. Why is that? Why is it not an Anglo complaining about this? This is kind of my problem when it comes down to it, right? And it should be everybody's problem when it comes down to it. You're going to say that, like, what? All the Anglos are owned by Jews? Every Anglo's a pedo? What is it? What is the reason that they won't stand up for their fucking selves? That's a real ass question. Why won't they stand up for the civilization that they built? For their people, for their nation? Why are we the ones doing it? It's a real question. Why are we doing it? Why is it the Guineas? Why is it the Irish like Jimmy Dore? Why is it Matt Taibbi? Why is it Glenn Greenwald? These aren't Anglos. And you say what you want about me being a quarter, but like again, why are the Anglos not standing up for themselves? Where are they at? Why aren't they screaming from the rooftops? This is kind of the problem in the end of the day, right? Ain't that something we should be having a conversation about? I'm just saying, in the end of the day, the sovereign is he who decides the exception. We know who's in charge right now. The Anglos are in charge right now. They're allowing the Indians in. Right? They're opening the borders. Why? Is it because they don't have a culture? Is that what it is? Is it nothing more? Is it nothing more than they're just greedy? This is why it is. It like, listen, say what you want, right? About dudes like Yarvin, right? Say what you want. Oh, he's a Jew, right? And this is the other part of this too, right? Like legit, it's the other part of this. I hop on Discord, right? I go on Discord. You know, I run around Discord, right? And I talk to, I'm gonna sound like General Chief. I talk to my fellow humans. Right? I talk to my fellow humans. And when you're walking around and you're talking to all these people, well, you know, you're sitting in VCs talking to people. You go, well, like, yo, Nick's standing up for y'all. I'm standing up for y'all. I want y'all to do better. I want y'all to be better. Oh, but you're black. I'm not black, I'm Italian. Yeah, you're black, basically. Well, what's Nick? Oh, Nick's black too, he's a Mexican. Why are you shitting on the dudes who are like looking after you, who are helping you, who are standing up for you when you won't? Why? Why is that a thing? What is this? Why is this? Can we talk about this? Just want to put that out there, man. I want to put that the fuck out there.
Now, under normal circumstances, if a foreign national was able to flee back to their home country, an ally of the United States would be able to extradite that criminal back to America for prosecution. If a French person came to America and raped a kid and went back to France, we would be able to extradite them back to America. But not Israel. Israel gives safe harbor. So what's really going on here? How is an Israeli government official able to come to America, lure an American child back to his hotel or his residence for sex? How is he able to flee and then stay in Israel? Well, wouldn't you know, the U.S. attorney who is in charge of prosecuting him, she's also somehow Israeli. The U.S. attorney, the U.S. prosecutor who is in charge of prosecuting this guy, wouldn't you know it, by coincidence, she was born.
You know, your people made laws about this, right? Where, like, when you have a conflict of interest, you're supposed to recuse yourself. That seems like a conflict of interest. And I'm not like, listen, let me put it like this so it sounds fair, right? So it sounds fair to the normies, right? I think that, like, if you're invested in a business and it comes up in front of you in Congress for something that you're going to have to regulate, you should also recuse yourself. I feel like if, and this is the thing, right? This is 100% important about this. There's a difference between, like, Me, I'm Italian. I don't have a fucking passport, let alone a fucking an Italian visa or citizenship. Okay, like, you know me, because I'm third generation or whatever, right? I don't have any of these things. But if you are a dual citizen of any country, I don't give a fuck what country it is. If somebody who is a dual citizen of that country, whether it's Chinese, whether it's motherfucking Indian, like, listen, I feel like not only should you be recused, you should also be like fucking expelled. That's like, you know, that's my personal opinion because I don't fucking like Indians. But like, you know, if you're like, you know what I mean, if you're Swahili, right? If you're, you know what I mean, like fucking German, I don't care. If you hold a dual citizenship with that country and somebody who holds a citizenship of that country as well comes up, you should recuse yourself. What? Yes. Of course. They're your peoples. You can't, you know what I mean, like, you can't serve two masters. It's just how it works. You cannot serve two masters. Some basic ass shit. Like, yo, what?
Born in Israel, she is a Jewish, Israeli-born American attorney appointed by Trump. I wonder if she has something to do with it. And this is the story. It says, quote, MAGA is pushing the Trump administration to explain why an Israeli official who was arrested in an undercover child sex sting in Nevada was allowed to leave the United States after posting bail. Tom Alexandrovich, a senior Israeli cybersecurity official, was arrested during an undercover operation in Nevada targeting child sex predators, according to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Alexandrovich posted a $10,000 bail without appearing before a judge and quickly fled to Israel, raising questions about why his passport was not confiscated. Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson told the Las Vegas Review-Journal that the handling of the case was standard, and the State Department denied that the U.S. government intervened. But acting U.S. Attorney Sigal Chadha, whose jurisdiction covers Nevada, posted on social media, quote, "The individual who fled our country should have had his passport seized by the authorities. He must be returned immediately to face justice." Chadha said that Attorney General Pam Bondi was outraged and placed calls to both her and FBI Director Kash Patel. Some voices have taken specific aim at Chadha, who was born in Israel. Now, here are some relevant facts. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, the top prosecutor in America, she's a Zionist. She comes from the state of Florida, which is heavily influenced by pro-Israel Jewish money. She's on the record saying that she is dyed-in-the-wool pro-Israel. And the U.S. attorney, one out of 93 in the United States, acting directly under Pam Bondi, is an Israeli-born Jew. Now, let's think about the details of the case. This guy's an Israeli national security official at an FBI cybersecurity convention. This security official gets caught up in an FBI sting, a federal law enforcement sting. The FBI, run by Kash Patel, is operated by the DOJ, which is run by Pam Bondi. So this is a cybersecurity official who probably has some professional relationship with American intelligence and law enforcement. After all, that's why he was here. It's an Israeli security official at an American security conference. So this guy must have allies in the U.S. government. Who would his allies be? They would be the Zionists. He works under Netanyahu. He's friends with Netanyahu. Netanyahu is his patron. And if he's at a cybersecurity convention in America as our closest ally, then this guy probably has friends in U.S. intelligence, U.S. law enforcement. And who would those people be? Well, they would be the most pro-Israel people. It would be the Pam Bondis. It would be the Kash Patels. It would be, in a word, the Republicans. because Donald Trump himself appointed Pam Bondi. Donald Trump appointed Kash Patel. Donald Trump appointed Sigal Chaudhry, the U.S. attorney born in Israel, as the acting.
All right, look here, bro. This is Sigal Chaudhry. This is from February 18th, 2025. Justin and Bieber's family shared their following message. In the past few hours, we've been shaken by an announcement from Hamas spokesman regarding the expected return of Shiri Ariel and Kafer this Thursday as part of the hostage release process. Right? And then Sigal Chaudhry retweeted it and said, "No statehood ever for these animals. Netanyahu needs to start acting like Churchill instead of Chamberlain and wiping Gaza off the map." Just so you know, this is a acting district attorney of Nevada, right? This is not like some, normal, like civilian saying these things. This is somebody residing over the case of an Israeli in Nevada who was caught trying to have sex with an underage motherfucking person. I don't know the specifics of the age of the individual who they were luring him with, right? If it was like 17, I'm be like, yo, listen, much different than like a 12-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Kind of where it is. But, you know what I mean? Like, bananas shit. A dude who is being tried for sex trafficking as an Israeli citizen. And he fled to Israel to hide for cover. And this person released this fucking tweet. Let's keep it a bean. You cannot serve two masters. Let's keep going.
U.S. attorney in Nevada and reappointed her after her temporary appointment expired, after the 120-day allotment was up. Now, given that this guy was at an FBI convention, he got stung by the FBI. If you read the actual paperwork about this case, it says that what he immediately told the FBI when he was arrested is, call the embassy. So he gets arrested by the FBI, the pro-Israel FBI, and the first thing he says is, I'm an Israeli government official, call the embassy. Now, Kash Patel denies that they had contact with the Israeli government, but the paperwork says he told them he was with the Israeli government. He told them, contact the embassy. He posts his bail money. Somehow, the FBI doesn't take his passport. This was a joint operation, not just Las Vegas police, as the U.S. attorney says. The FBI was involved too. They did not take his passport. That allows him to jump on a plane and go home, where he will never be extradited. And now all these people say, oh, get him back here. Whose fault was this? It's your fault. The FBI arrested him. Federal law enforcement arrested him.
I mean, like, it should have been automatic at the arraignment, right? You know what I mean? Which is the first part of the process that happens, right? At your arraignment, when, like, you're posting bail, right? That you go, yeah, listen, if he's posting bail, he has to think about his fucking passport, right? He has to surrender his visa. Like, he needs to, like, stay here. Or he is, like, he isn't he's deemed an extreme flight risk. He does not get fucking bail, right? Which would have been normal if had this been, like, any other fucking criminal who was poor, right? If this person made, like, $12 an hour and, like, had, like, a fucking visa to, like, multiple countries, you would have motherfucking kept his ass behind fucking bars. But because it's an Israeli, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's where we are at the moment.
Now, what does this say about our country? Because a lot of people might say, oh, well, this is just one guy. This is what you hear all the time, isn't it? When you point out that a powerful Jewish person is in favor of open borders, when you point out that a powerful Jewish person is in favor of bombing Iran, when you point out that a powerful Jewish person is raping a bunch of Hollywood starlets like Harvey Weinstein, or does something like this, what do they always say? They say, well, those are just individuals. They say, and every group of people has bad individuals. Americans has bad apples. Israel has bad apples. The Jews have bad apples. And you can't blame the whole group. You have to judge people by their individual actions. But what you see here is a system. Don't you understand? It's a system. How did this guy get away? Because the Jews have their people in our system. This guy was born, well, this guy's an Israeli government official in America. And the law enforcement official, the prosecutor overseeing his case, she was also born in Israel. So she's looking out for him.
Now, I don't know whether or not everybody knows this, right? I mean, because like this might be old information that y'all don't know about, right? I'm gonna put this like this. People have what's known as diplomatic immunity, right? This has been things that have, you know what I mean, like existed for a long time. Diplomatic immunity is basically like an ambassador comes over here and gets in a fucking ball fight or whatever the case is, right? And instead of like you standing here being faced with charges in another country, right? You know what I mean? You're sent back to your home fucking country, right? And then like it is settled between the two countries because like you were there as a representative of that country, right? This is something that is 100% normal. Now, this is important to understand. This only is for certain fucking crimes. I don't know whether or not this crime falls under diplomacy. Be a fact, bro. We can look that shit up. Let's look that shit up real quick. All right. So, Vienna Convention. Okay, let's look this up. All right, diplomatic immunity is a principle of international law by which certain foreign government officials are recognized as having legal immunity from the jurisdiction of another country. It allows diplomats safe passage and freedom of travel in a host country and affords almost total protection from local lawsuits and criminal prosecution. Diplomatic immunity is one of the oldest and most widespread practices in international relations. Most civilians since antiquity have granted some degree of special status to foreign envoys and messengers. It is designed to facilitate relations between states by allowing their respective representatives to conduct their duties freely and safely, even during periods of political tension and armed conflict. Moreover, such protections are generally understood to be reciprocal and therefore mutually beneficial. As a long-standing and nearly universal concept, diplomatic immunity has long been considered customary law. However, it was traditionally granted on a bilateral, ad hoc basis, leading to varying, sometimes conflicting standards of protections. Modern practices of diplomatic immunity have largely conformed to the 1961 Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, which formally codified the legal and political status of diplomats, which has been ratified by the vast majority of sovereign states. Diplomats may be declared persona non grata and expelled, although not prosecuted. A foreign official's home country may waive immunity and allow prosecution, typically if the official was involved in some serious crime unrelated to their diplomatic role, as opposed to, for example, allegations of spying. However, many countries refuse to waive immunity as a matter of course, and diplomats have no authority to waive their own immunity, except perhaps in cases of defection. Alternatively, the home country may prosecute the diplomat on its own accord at the behest of the host country. Okay, hang on. In the 19th century, the Congress of Vienna reasserted the right to diplomat. They have been largely respected since then. As the European model has spread throughout the world, currently diplomatic relations, including diplomatic immunity, are governed internationally by the 1961 Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, which has been ratified by almost every country in the world. In modern times, diplomatic immunity continues to provide a means, albeit imperfect, to safeguard diplomatic personnel from any animosity that might arise between nations. As one article put it, so why do we agree to a system in which we're dependent on foreign countries' whim before we can prosecute a criminal inside our own borders? The practical answer is because we depend on other countries to honor our own diplomats' immunity just as scrupulously as we honor theirs. All right, so foreign ambassadors as well. Okay. Follows the principles introduced by the Vienna Conventions. What is, bro? Listen, I don't know. A number of countries limit the dip as persons who are citizens of the recipient nations keep faith to their treaties with differing zeal. Others rules also apply. In most cases, this summary is reasonably accurate. The convention does not cover the personnel of international organizations whose privileges are decided by a case-by-case basis, usually in the treaties founding such organizations. Okay, let's see here. All right. So, most diplomats are representatives of nations in a traditional and professional civil service. They are expected to obey regulations, govern their behavior, and suffer severe disciplinary action if they flout local laws. In many nations, a professional diplomat's career may be compromised if they or members of the family disobey local authorities or cause serious embarrassment. Such cases, at any rate, are violation of the spirit of the Vienna Conventions. Without prejudice and their privileges and immunities, it is a duty of all persons enjoying such privileges and immunity to respect the laws and regulations of the receiving state. Nevertheless, on some occasions, protected diplomats have violated, those would be violations at home as well, and the country has been essentially limited to inform the diplomat stating that the diplomat is no longer welcome, persona non grata. Diplomatic agents are not, however, exempt from the jurisdiction in their home state, and hence prosecution may be undertaken in the sending state for minor violations of the law. The sending state may impose administrative procedures specific to foreign service diplomatic mission. Violation of the law by diplomats has included espionage, smuggling, child custody law violations, money laundering, tax evasion, making terrorist attacks, child solicitation, and murder. Okay, so this is not new, right? Right. Yeah. See, this is not new. Yeah. This is one of those things, right? Wife of Japanese consul general showed up at the emergency department of the hospital with two black eyes and a bruised neck. They told her had beaten her when local police questioned Mr. Shimojaki said, "Yes, I punched her out and she deserved it." And I described the incident as a cultural thing and not a big deal. Although an arrest warrant was issued, Mr. Shimojaki could not be arrested due to diplomatic immunity. However, his statement to the police was widely reported in both the local and Japanese press. A subsequent public uproar prompted the Japanese to waive his immunity. Although he pleaded guilty in Canadian court, he was given an absolute discharge. Nonetheless, he was recalled to Japan, where he was reassigned to office duty and had his pay cut. Yeah, see, listen, this is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? These are other incidents. Colombian diplomat in the United Kingdom was prosecuted for manslaughter once diplomatic immunity was waived by the Colombian government. 2006 New York City Fred Madawa, Kenyan diplomat, was taken into police custody by officers responding to reports of the assault of his son. He was released after asserting diplomatic immunity. Turkish President Erdogan and his team started fighting with UN officials at the United Nations. He then Secretary Ban Ki-moon soon ran over and apologized to Erdogan. April 2012 in the Philippines, Eric Sheets Bernals, a technical officer for Pan America, office in Manila, was accused of raping a 19-year-old Filipino woman, being an attached agency to the Pan American Embassy in Manila. The AMP office was classified as a diplomatic entity. Its office is processing the same privileges conferred to the embassy's diplomats. Shix was later released from detention because Shix enjoys the protection under the Vienna Convention. Yeah. Yeah. Given the apex. Despite Italian European protests regarding the restriction as contrary to Vienna, the Supreme Court of India said it would be unacceptable to argue diplomatic immunity after voluntarily submitting to the court's jurisdiction. It had invoked Article 32 of the Constitution of India when filing an affidavit in the Supreme Court saying its responsibility for the return of two Italian Marines to India after casting their votes in the March 2012 elections in Italy. The Indian Supreme Court opined that the Italian ambassador had waived his diplomatic immunity and could be charged with contempt. Two Marines were being tried for the murder of two Indian fishermen off the coast of Kerala. Russian diplomat Dmitry Borodin was arrested in The Hague, the Netherlands, after neighbors called the police. Borodin was alleged to have been drunk and violent towards his children, aged 2 and 4. Police were in the area because Borodin had lost control of her car while also intoxicated, and had rammed 4 parked cars in the diplomat's house. Russia immediately demanded an apology from the Dutch government for violating Borodin's diplomatic immunity. The row came to a time of tension between Russia and Netherlands after the Russian security services captured a Greenpeace vessel sailing under the Dutch flag, and that was protesting oil drilling in some fucking field too big. But the point is like, this is not outside of the norm. It's kind of where we're at, right? Israel does it a lot. Let's keep it a bean. I don't think they claim diplomatic immunity though, right? But they do accept back like sex criminals on a regular basis. They do violate, right? They had multiple ones like who went and actually did shit in Israel, and then they got arrested later. But they'll protect their own fucking people. Yeah, we all get it, right? Let's keep going now.
She's looking out for him. My fellow Israeli, my fellow Jew. No other country is like this. If an American were in Israel raping their kid,
I hate to say something, right, about this, but every other fucking country is like this. This is not, you know what I mean? Not outside of the norm. Just keep it a bean.
kids, could he count on an American-born Catholic serving in Israel's national judiciary, their national law enforcement? Of course not. If you as an American went in China.
All right, let's put this way, okay? Let's put this way. It's very important to understand this. So right now, at the moment, okay, the United States has the ability, okay, to wave its dick around and tell motherfuckers, listen, we'll do what the fuck we want, right? We could clap anybody we want to. 100%. We could live our morals if that's what we chose to do. We could live our truth. But, and this is very important, one day, we're going to ask somebody to honor an agreement about somebody we actually like, who doesn't have the ability to wave its dick around. And Americans are not going to be willing to go to war over like somebody doing some fuck shit in another country. We may conduct some covert shit, right? Where like, you know, we stand here and send in the Black Hawks and the SEAL teams to do some nonsense. But like ultimately, we're not going to have the ability to conduct full warfare to be able to back up what it is that we just want. If that makes any sense to y'all. So, the reason why we honor this now is so later on, everybody else honors it as well, right? It's one of them things where, like, listen, we know, right, that, like, you know, sometimes you want a motherfucker doxxed who does all types of ill shit. But on the same level, the moment you start doxing motherfuckers, everybody starts doxing motherfuckers, and then people start getting swatted, right? So we all agreed not to do these things, because it's good for all of us if nobody does these things. This is the basic fucking premise, okay?
And you were raping kids there. Could you count on an American-born white Catholic prosecutor to let you go back to America? No. Because no other people is like this. Like what? The Jews have numbers and influence and power in many countries, almost all countries. In Argentina, where they have a Jewish president. In Mexico, where they have a Jewish president. In America, where they have Israeli officials everywhere. In France, where they have the biggest Jewish population in Europe. In the UK, in Germany, in Italy, in Russia, in all these countries, they have lots of people, lots of numbers with influence. And unlike any other people, they're then loyal to their own kind and to Israel. It's a system. So you could say, well, this is one bad apple. Okay, one Israeli official was here and he tried to rape some American kids. But the good thing is our justice system works and we got him. Wait, not so fast. The Israeli-born...
This is the problem, all right? The problem is he was there on official business. If he's there on official Israeli state fucking business, because I think he was there for like a defense contractor thing, right? He's there for some tech thing because, like, you know, he's like the head of their cybersecurity thing. Fucking have to let him go. I don't like it. Okay? None of us like it. But this is the reality of like international fucking relations. The problem comes down, and this is where the problem comes down. Okay? Like real shit. This is really where the problem comes down to. The problem is that like they're not going to prosecute him, and they fucking should. Right? This dude should be buried under the fucking jail. He shouldn't just be dismissed or hidden somewhere in some other government agency. This dude should be put to fucking death for the embarrassment that he caused this fucking country and the bullshit that he's causing. And if they did that, right, if Israel did that, Americans would go, oh, listen, justice is fucking served. The pedo got fucking clapped. We're all good. Right? Chomo dealt with. End of the day. But we're not going to do they're not going to do this shit. That's the problem that we're all facing at the fucking moment. Let's keep going, though.
Prosecutor overseeing the case probably let him go. I mean, that's what it looks like. Now, if he's a bad apple, why didn't she throw the book at him? I guess she's a bad apple too. Or better yet, maybe the Jews don't see it this way. Maybe the Jews will protect each other whether they're good or bad. You ever thought of that? I don't know this Sigel Chada, the U.S. attorney. She probably thinks this guy's disgusting. Like any of us would. But she's going to look out for him anyway. Why? Because he's Jewish. Because he's Israeli. She's Israeli. That's called loyalty. You know what loyalty means? It means even though he's a piece of shit, even though he's a pervert, she's still going to stick by him. She's going to protect him. She's going to make sure he gets home safe. Why? Because he is her kin. That's a powerful idea. Now, you could say that they don't all need to be bad apples. If they're protecting each other, if they're looking out for each other, if their primary loyalty is to each other and not to America, that's a problem. That's a system. That's a network. It tells you something about how they operate in our country. And you see this over and over and over again. Jews will look out for each other. They become very powerful, and then they help their own kind to get into power. They share. If one Jew becomes rich, he shares the wealth and the power with his friends and family. If one Jew's in a position to help another in the legal system, in the music industry, in business, on Wall Street, they're going to do it. They will give them favor. They will give them patronage. Now, understand that if any other group did this, it would be a civil rights violation.
Yo, listen. The diplomatic immunity thing applies. It's that simple. Right? It's a 1961 agreement in Vienna. Right? You can look it up. It's a pain in the ass. No one likes this, but it is what it is. I already read you all the stuff. Anybody who just got here, you can go back in the stream a little bit, about like 10, 15 minutes, whatever, and you hear me. Like I went through and I read like all the stuff, and I read the violations that happen on a regular basis in other countries constantly. This is not an Israeli thing. This is an everywhere thing. Right? There's lots of shitty ass fucking diplomats. There's diplomats that beat shit out their wives, that beat their fucking kids, that get fucking drunk, right? That rape bitches, that do all types of shit. Right? And literally, you know what I mean? Like, you know, they basically get sent home. It's just how it is. Right? The Japanese dude in Canada who sat here and like his wife showed up to the fucking police station with 2 fucking black eyes and like fucking was yoked out, bruises all around the neck, was beat the shit out of her. Dude didn't even apologize. He said she fucking deserved it. Right. Now, some of us may laugh and like, yeah, what do you call a chick with two black eyes? Nothing. She's already been told twice. Right. Got you. Right. But he went back to Japan. Not only did he not face charges, not only was he like not disgraced, he was put on office duty. Like, yo, listen, this is normal. It's just normal shit, dude. Right? This is not something out of the fucking ordinary. Just looks bad at the fucking moment because of what the fuck we're going through with fucking Israel. Right? It seems terrible. But this is not a case that you can stand on. This is not a hill any of us should die on. Keeping it in the buck. Just being honest. All right?
If a white person was going, hey, listen, I'm going to help you out because you're white. Could you imagine the outrage? Could you imagine if a U.S. attorney who was white said to a white sex criminal, hey, listen, man, I'm going to cut you a break because you're a white guy. Because you're white and I like you and I'm going to look out for, even though you're a pervert, I'm going to look out for you because you're white. I'm not going to turn you over to all these blacks and Jews and Muslims. You're white. That's illegal. It's illegal. That is literally illegal. You would go to jail for that. If you did that in a job interview, if you did that in college admissions, listen, buddy, I'm going to cut you a break. Your last name is Jefferson. Your last name is Hamilton. I'm going to let you in because you're one of us. You'd go to jail for that. It would be a civil rights violation. But everybody knows they do this, and they do it all the time. They do it on behalf of Israel.
All right. So, like, here's is something else, too, as well. Right. Because like, I don't want to seem like I'm defending a fucking chomo, because I'm really not, right? I'm really fucking not. Like, again, I want them fucking executed. But very important to understand, like, the facts of the case. Right? This is why, like, normal people should probably not fucking hear about law shit, because, like, nobody really understands law shit. The reason why Washington, D.C. is not a state and it's not part of another state is because it's actually diplomatic ground. The reason for this is because if Washington, D.C. was part of a state or part of an area, right, that was jurisdiction, that some other place had jurisdiction over. Imagine, say, if the Democrats, right, say, like, I don't know, let's say it's part of Maryland, right, and that's a heavy Democrat state, okay. Let's say that, like, all of a sudden Washington, D.C. is part of Maryland. Well, if there's Republican senators, right, who, are like rabble rousing against the like fucking Democrats, like are being a real pain in the ass and like leading protests and shit. Maryland could lock them the fuck up. Maryland could send out state troopers, right, and put the picture out like, hey, listen, this guy's gonna be he has to take he's gonna vote on the bill today. It's gonna do something that we don't like. Hey, why don't y'all pull him over, right? Hold him up a little bit. Search his call. That's why DC is its own jurisdiction, right? That way you don't have that fucking problem. Because, like, listen, it's not ran by any fucking state. You can't be hemmed up, and arrested by some fucking other state. It's a strange concept, but, like, that's how that shit works. This is all about diplomatic shit, bro. This is all about international relations. It's all about, like, political relations. There's a lot of things tied up in the story that, like, I feel like we're trying to stand 10 toes down on something that you shouldn't be standing 10 toes down on. Just kind of where it is at the moment. Just is what it is. This is not a good hill to die on.
They do it on behalf of the Jewish nation. And by the way, black people do it also. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Carmelo Anthony. Remember Carmelo Anthony, that black high school student who stabbed Austin Metcalf to death because this football player got up to him and said, I think you're in the wrong seat, and he stabbed him in the neck? And what did the black people do? All the black people, now they may not all be murderers. They may not all be bad people. But a lot of them supported this guy. They gave money to his GoFundMe because he was black. And it's not to say that every Jew's a child rapist. It's not to say that every black person's a murderer. But when the chips are down, they're going to look out for their own. Black people are going to look out for their own. And you see that all the time. I saw a story today out of Tennessee where a former Space Force commander He woke up at 11 p.m. Two black kids were trying to steal his car. He chased them down and killed one of them. And these black kids, their dad, the accomplice, and many black people were saying, I can't believe that this guy shot those kids. They didn't even succeed in stealing the car. You see this all the time. Tell me, stop me if you've heard this before. You see one of these gang killings in a city like Chicago or New York, and what do all the neighbors say on the nightly news? They say, he was a good kid. He was on the honor roll. He was getting his life back together. George Floyd, that was the whole thing. They look out for their own. They look out for the bad apples. It's not about what is universally right or wrong. That's secondary. What's primary is their racial loyalty. Sure, this black kid is a murderer, but he's our murderer. Sure, this Jew is a child rapist, but he's our child rapist. This is how they operate. Now, here's the difference. One of the differences, of course, is that with white people, it's illegal. Here's the second difference. Jews are far more powerful than any other group. You see? With black people, it's not too bad because black people don't have a ton of institutional power. How many of the richest hedge funds are run by black people? How many black people are in the top 10 or top 20 or top 50 biggest individual contributors in an election cycle? How many chairs of the Federal Reserve are black? So black people don't have as much institutional power, but Jews do. They have a lot of it. They are highly overrepresented in academia, in finance, in media, in Hollywood, in government, you name it. Now, if they are loyal to each other, if they're nepotistic, if they're tribalistic, and they have their own country with a nuclear arsenal, then that's a real problem. And of course, what does Israel do? When this Israeli-born U.S. attorney ships the Israeli rapist back to Israel, Israel's going to protect him. Israel says, we're not going to give a Jew up to the Goyim to prosecute. He belongs to us. This is how they operate. Now, I'm going to give you a really interesting counterexample. Today, I saw Stephen Miller, the Jewish border czar, Stephen Miller, the Hebrew hammer, who's going to deport all the illegals. You know what Stephen Miller said today in a press conference in D.C.? He was talking about how there's this National Guard takeover of the Capitol. There's all these Democrat protesters that are against it. They say it's government overreach. Stephen Miller said about the protesters, he said, these are a bunch of stupid white hippies. These are a bunch of old white people, stupid white hippies. I saw Mark Levin in a speech. He said the Europeans are too stupid to see that Israel's under attack by Hamas. When that little girl, Greta Thunberg, did the freedom convoy to Israel, Jewish people were saying, what if Israel killed her with missiles? Understand something. Those hippies and
Yeah, so, all right, hang on, man, bro. Here's what we're going to do. Check this out, bro. Listen, we're going to go to Jimmy Dole's channel. Jimmy Dole's channel, bro. Hang on a second. Give me 1 minute. Okay, here we go.
So our friend Mel, the executive, the village crazy lady who does good work, she says the executive director of Israel's National Cyber Directorate was arrested this week in Las Vegas in a child pedo ring sting. This guy works directly under Netanyahu, so of course he was allowed to go back to Israel, and so she links this stuff. So that's the guy, and here's the story. The Nevada Internet Crimes Against Children joint operations included detectives and agents from the ICAC, Task Force, blah, 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 blah. Those arrested were David Wanacott Yankee and Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, 38. They all face felony charges of luring a child with a computer for sex and were booked into the Henderson Detention Center. So let me see if I can go.
Wait, those aren't Muslims. I thought only the Muslims.
I thought so. That's him, executive director of Israel National Cyber Directorate, building national cyber. So he got caught up in a pedo thing in Las Vegas.
Wow, who saw that coming?
Who saw that coming? Let's see. Here's the story. Las Vegas, an undercover operation in targeting child sex predators in the Las Vegas Valley over 2 weeks resulted in the arrest of 8 individuals, according to a release from the Las Vegas Metro. And there his name is. Isn't that something? So this first guy, David Wanakut Yankee, treasurer of Imperial Royal Sovereign Court of the Desert. What?
Yeah.
What is that?
That looks like a NGO, actually.
Yeah, right? Southern Nevada Baptist Association.
Oh, look, they're all in on it together, all the different groups.
Lead pastor Neil Creasy.
Yeah, not surprising.
Gender Diverse and Trans Pride Center of the Gender Diverse and Trans Pride. Okay, I don't know what this. Oh, David Wanakut Yankee worked there. The registered agent on file for this company, the Gender Diverse and Trans Pride Center of Southern Nevada. So that's the first guy, David Wanakut Yankee. Also, but they're not mentioning the guy, the big guy. Oh, Pastor Neil H. Creasy has been in gospel ministry for 28 years. He has served as a pastor, international missionary, church planter, missionary consultant, conference speaker, and seminary professor around the world. He holds an MDiv and a PhD from Mid-America Baptist Theological Seminary.
Yeah, and I bet he's a Christian Zionist, Schofield Bible believing, dispensationalist, heretic, CIA, psyop, scumbag. All that weird evangelical Christianity used to hear about, that is all CIA Christian Zionist bullshit, and it goes back a long way.
U.S. detains worker from Israel's top cyber defense agency for questioning. Prime Minister's office says incident resolved quickly. Really? Ending with a brief questioning of National Cyber Directorate staffer before his release and return to Israel.
It was a misunderstanding.
Israel always welcomes pedophiles back to Israel. That's
so this was a misunderstanding, Kurt. That's all this was, right?
Yeah.
So the news people who say it's possibly he pulled the diplomatic immunity card.
Oh, I wonder if they did that. I wonder how they got out of this one.
Wow. Briefly detained.
Yeah.
So they have impunity, just like they can slaughter people in Gaza, right, on camera with impunity. They can do whatever they want with the children in America, and their punishment is they get sent back to Israel.
Those Zionist Israelis, and the same reason priests molest kids is the same reason. You're automatically bad and lower than them just for being born. And that's probably why the Pope wears a yarmulke.
Okay. Kurt's on fire today.
I really am.
So that's quite a story.
I can see why you guys are banned from TikTok.
That's so you can see why we're banned from TikTok. Right?
I've never gone on it.
I've never been.
You've never been.
I do not have TikTok app on my phone. People send me TikTok videos. I can't watch them.
Well, they're trying to
Yeah.
And would you visit them? You didn't answer that question.
Well, if they
Wait, hang on a minute. Give me a second. Maybe it's this one.
FBI Director Kash Patel announced Operation Restore Justice, resulting in the arrest of over 200 individuals involved in child predators.
Our children. If you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary.
Again, unless you're an Israeli and you work for Benjamin Netanyahu. Then you could do whatever you want to our children. And then you could go back to Israel and you can slaughter all bank. So you could do a lot of bad. So that's it's basically like a loose guideline. Not real. It's not really
There is no place we will not come to hunt you down.
Except Israel. We won't go to Israel. We're not going to go. Believe me, that's a safe haven for pedos. That's why they all go there. It's a loophole that the pedos get to go to Israel.
There is no place we will not look for you.
Except Israel. We're not going to. How many times I got to tell you? This is all flapping the gum. This is all lip.
Hang on, because like he reported this, bro. He said, unless I don't want it for you. I think this is it.
And take her team to court for.
Okay, here we go.
Update regarding the Israeli official who tried to have with a child in Vegas, then fled to Israel after meeting with the NSA. The U.S. Attorney General who released him is Israeli-born Sigal Chattah makes sense now, especially given the fact that Vegas was effectively built by the Adelson gambling empire. The entire city is an Israeli operation. LOL to the guys who think what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens in Vegas likely winds up stored in a file in Israel. Israel is the godforsaken country of blackmail, murder, and child abuse. So we briefly covered this story already once, but there's another twist to the story. Las Vegas, an undercover operations targeting child predators in the Las Vegas Valley over 2 weeks resulted in the arrest of 8 individuals, according to... So who were the individuals? Well, this guy right here, Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, he is a deputy to Benjamin Netanyahu. He's in charge of their cybersecurity.
Okay.
And and here he is. That's him.
Oh, yeah, guy.
He's the executive director of Israel's National Cyber Directorate. So
he has to make sure no young kids get through.
So he got caught being a child predator in Las Vegas. He thought he was talking to a real kid, and he wasn't. He was talking to a policeman online.
And Chris Hansen?
And then he got Chris Hansen.
Nice.
And so when he went to meet the kid, the cops arrested him.
And then when Hansen said, "You're free to go," he really was. You're free to go.
So here's the twist. So here's the acting U.S. attorney in Nevada who made sure he got let go. She facilitated his letting go, although she tried to pretend she didn't. And who is she? Well, Trump appointed, her name is Sigal Chattah.
Sigal Chattah.
Sigal Chattah. He appointed her to the post of U.S. Attorney for Nevada in March of 2025. She was then the interim U.S. Attorney for Nevada. And she was supposed to be only last 120 days. That's how long you can appoint someone an interim U.S. Attorney. So, but the time limit was overridden when Chattah, she resigned early. That enabled Trump to reappoint her as acting U.S. attorney. She's not been confirmed by the Senate. And she's a maniac. And I'm sure her rise to power... Anyway, this is what she tweeted out.
Is she talking about Nevada?
So Open Source said that the Bibas family shared this following message. In the past few hours, we have been shaken by the announcement from Hamas spokesman regarding the expected return of our Shiri, Ariel, and Kiefer this Thursday as part of a hostage release process. She retweets that and says no statehood ever for these criminals. Oh, I'm sorry. Worse.
Oh, animals.
She says no statehood ever for these animals. Netanyahu needs to start acting like Churchill instead of Chamberlain and wipe Gaza off the map. That's the woman Trump appointed to be the acting U.S. attorney in charge of Nevada.
Chattah for Nevada. It says as her.
Yeah.
Well, she thinks Netanyahu is too much of a pussy. Is that her message?
That's I guess that is her message.
Okay, so she goes real hard on that issue, but I guess fairly lax on luring a child over the internet.
Was this, by the way, is this the family, the Bibas? Is this the That's not the family of Israeli mega pop star Justin Bieber, is it?
No, it's not just.
I don't keep up with the kids and their music and their hair these days, but is it maybe that's
not,
just it's not
Levers.
That's not Justin Bieber, no.
Do you like Justin Bieber?
Here's another one. There are 2 million terrorists in Gaza. Leary was in their homes, and the children, even the children, are part of this. So she's blaming the children
on the color of their skin. I need your help. The left is pouring money into this.
So conservative, she likes Israeli sex offenders. Go home immediately.
That's how conservative she is. She's upset that Ilhan Omar is defunding the police, which they didn't. That's all bunk. In fact, they refunded the police and added. So, and how bad on a Muslim or something? Extra $2 billion that Ilhan Omar is defunding.
My name is Sigal Chadha, and I approve this message.
So that
list of 100 judges, you know,
yeah,
it's the law.
Here she is again. So here she is trying to lie about what happened. She says a liberal district attorney and state court judge in Nevada failed to require an alleged child molester to surrender his passport, which allowed him to flee our country. The attorney general just called me outraged, and she called the FBI director, Kash Patel, the individual who fled our country, is that you get to post bond before you even see a judge. So that he didn't even see a judge. The judge couldn't take his passport away, which is exactly what he did. So judge Alexandrovich did not appear before a judge and posted bond before his state entitled probable cause hearing and before prosecutors filed a criminal joint operation. He was booked into the Henderson detention facility. This important multi-agency operation targeted child predators who preyed upon the most vulnerable members of our communities. As a result of the operation with a child in Vegas, then fled to Israel after meeting with the NSA. The U.S. Attorney General who released him is Israeli-born Sigal Chadha, come here for life-saving surgeries, and the America that never releases a foreign child sex predator that our great Leos caught. But in this circumstance, Leo's our law enforcement officer, was effectively built by the Adelson gambling empire. The entire city department is aware that Tom Atrium Alexandrovich, an Israeli citizen, was arrested in Las Vegas and given a court date for charges related to soliciting sex electronically from a minor. He did not claim diplomatic immunity and was released by a state judge pending a court date.
Where,
and he claims
they say that this dude, like, when he got arrested, he said, call the fucking embassy. Right? Alexandrovich. Call the embassy. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. All right, yeah. According to the Las Vegas police report, was obtained by journalist Sagar Enjeti, said the Las Vegas Review Journal, and Alexandrovich was in shock after his arrest and said he needed to contact someone about his international flight and to speak to his family in the Israeli embassy. Yeah. He said that he did not claim diplomatic immunity. I fucking highly doubt that, bro. But anyway, yeah, so okay, listen. So here's the thing. This dude was here as an Israeli on official Israeli state business. As a diplomat. He is covered under the Vienna Accords. Right, the Vienna Accords, right, in 1961. And people have been jailed for like way less, or have been let go for like way worse shit, right? Like fucking actual fucking murder and shit. Right? Like, actually like fucking raping people and doing all types of terrible shit. Like fucking, they have been let go and sent back to their host country. Now there are times when the country will go, yeah, listen, prosecute that motherfucker, fuck him, right? That happens, right? Doesn't happen to Israel, but that does happen. From what I understand, he said he wanted to speak to the embassy, right? And if he spoke to the embassy, 100%, like, yo, he's using diplomatic cover, right? I just don't think that the U.S. has, like, their fucking shit together in order to, like, fucking report this fucking fact. And I mean, or they don't want to stand here and have Israel saying these type of things at the moment when Israel's under such fucking scrutiny. Yo, it is what it is. Let's keep going. Come on, man, work.
DC that are protesting the overreach, those Europeans that don't want to see Palestinians starve to death, Greta Thunberg, you know what they all have in common? They're all white. They're all white. Now, I don't agree with the hippies. I don't agree with Greta Thunberg, most of her politics, and most of the Europeans, they'd probably throw me in jail based on what I say. But they're white. They're one of ours. And how cucked is it that Jews will protect their liberals, their rapists, blacks will protect their murderers, their drug dealers, but whites, we won't even protect our liberals. Whites are going to attack our own kind, and worse, we're going to let Jews talk about whites like that. Stephen Miller says stupid white hippies, and white people say, ha, good one, dude. Good one.
Listen, man, I've never had a barbecue potato chip, and I've never had Doritos. Don't blame me because, like, your parents gave y'all goy slop, all right? My parents didn't give me that goy slop. They did give me some goy slop. Okay, I most definitely had all the cereal when I was a kid. Whatever cereal I wanted, I had. Okay? And it was terrible. That's why I'm a diabetic now. Right? You know when I really became a diabetic? The moment, like, I fucking left here and I couldn't have iced tea anymore, and, like, I had to switch over to Mountain Dew. Right? When I was on the road. Over the road as a trucker. That's when I became a diabetic. All right? The goy slop caught me. Right? Don't blame me. Don't blame me, Adam Hearts. Right? It's not my fault. By the way, man, listen, welcome. My brothers, welcome. Nice to see y'all out here.
If identity politics is good enough for them, it's good enough for us. Either everybody is going to arm up and get together under identity politics, or nobody can. But riddle me this. Why is it that Israel gets to be blood and soil nationalists? Explain that to me. Israel literally gets to be blood and soil. What else would you call it? It's matrilineal. They identify as Jewish by blood, by the mother. And soil, the land that was promised to them by God. Israel is literally a blood and soil state.
Listen, I agree. And I can tell you why it is that we're not. All right. All right. So here's the brief overview. Okay. When we became a country, right, there was a lot of land to, like, the west of where we were. And in order to have, like, that land get settled so that the country and the government could claim it, they had to, like, give people a lot of privileges. And on top of that, like, yo, there was no way they were going to be able to breed fast enough to take over it before, like, the Spanish, the French, and, you know what I mean, like, the Native Americans recovered from, you know what I mean, the diseases that they had. So they invited everybody in. So they became a colorblind meritocracy in order, right? And I'm talking about, like, with Europeans, right? Not with everybody the fuck else, right? You know, in order to, like, settle this land. And it just got it took this shape, right? Where they used blacks, of course, once they freed them in the 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, they moved south, they moved north, they moved all over the place, right? They claimed land all over the place, right? Back in the day, there used to be a lot more black farmers, believe it or not. Like, that was a fucking thing, right? They wanted to claim the fucking land. How did we get Texas? Think about that. How did we get Texas? How did we get California? Because we moved our fucking people there and they bred. It's the Scotch Irish and the Germans went there and they bred. right? This is how this works, okay? Like, yo, they claimed it because, like, a lot of people were able to go there. And, like, this country, right, as a whole, right, this government, this empire that we're in right now on this continent, right, is not a nation. Because there's many different people in different places and different geographies. All right, let's put it like this. Since like the Younger Dryas, right? I heard Randall Carlson say this recently, so I'm not 100. Like, he's usually pretty good on his math. He says it's been about 500 generations, right? Seems low. 500 times 20. It's 10,000, is it? 500 times 10 is 5,000. Yeah, so that'd be 10,000. Yeah. So about 500 generations since the Younger Dryas. Figure Europe was invaded by the Indo-Europeans, right? About 6,000 years ago. So call it 200 generations. All right. 200 generations in Europe to form the nations that they have today, right? Where people have their own languages that are distinct from one another, that people have their own foods, people have their own cultures. In America, we were heading this way, but because of, like, the economics of things, right? Because you wanted to tie this giant landmass together, we had to, like, put in schools, right? Which the reasons they put in schools was for two purposes. One was for the economics, right? So that, like, you could have people that were smart enough to run the machines, but also so that they all spoke the same language, so that they learned the same mythos, these type of things, right? But the thing is like, you were taking Californians and Oregonians, Washingtonians, Virginians, Pennsylvanians, Floridians, Texans, North Dakotans, Michiganders, Ohioans. Yo, it's crazy. I know all those names, right? It's fucking crazy, right? But I do, right? All these people, right? So it's a Swiss and a Swedish and Nordic people up by the Great Lakes. It's the Anglos out in the West Coast. It's the Anglos in the Northeast. It's the Germans and the Italians in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. We had to take all these people and make them one people, right? That had to happen if you wanted this country to work. You couldn't have a bunch of people speaking different languages all over the places. Like, listen, that wasn't going to operate. Remember before World War I, man, there was 1,000 German fucking language newspapers. 1,000. Fucking crazy work. Right? Why is Israel a blood and soil nation? Because it's literally just Jews who are escaping there. Why is America not a blood and soil nation? Because everybody has to get along in this giant ass fucking continent, right? This is where we are. This is just what it is. You want something different, it needs to be a smaller nation. You need to break this bitch up into pieces and not have the economic ability, not have the economic firepower that America has. And I say this all the time, bro. Listen, where are the Anglos? Why are the Italians and the Mexicans and, like, you know what I mean, the fucking the Asians and the Indians and the blacks and everybody else and the women defending your shit? Where are the Anglos at? Stand up and defend your shit. Every time I hop into a goddamn VC, bro, listen, it's like, bro, why aren't y'all standing up with Nick Fuentes? Why? Oh, man, listen, he's a Mexican, bro. He's black. What? Listen, why don't y'all stand with me? You're black, Pnoid, bro. Listen, you're not even an Anglo. Listen, why? This is the fucking problem, dude. This is the goddamn problem. Let's keep it a bean. This is the fucking problem.
And Jews are blood and soil nationalists. That's what Yoram Mazoni is. That's what Stephen Miller is. That's what Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin are. It's good enough for them, but it's not good enough for us. They tell us, Oron McIntyre and Tucker Carlson say, we don't identify as white. What even is white? It's not good enough.
Listen, I kind of agree, dog. I kind of agree with that statement. What is white? Right? Get back to this shit. Let's get back to the fucking purpose of this. Right? White was when the first time white was used, it was in Central America, believe it or not. It was not in the United States, it was Central America. And it was a way of distinguishing between the Spanish, right, and the mestizos and the motherfucking the fucking natives and the black slaves eventually that came there. White in America, right, became a term for the English, right? And then later on, as like, you know, we got into like the industrial shit, they never considered the Polish white. They never considered the Italians white. They never considered the Irish white, right? You know how it works, bro. The potato niggas and shit, right? But once they all got ran out of the cities and went to the suburbs, all of a sudden, everybody was white. They weren't white before, though. They weren't white before, though. Crazy work. But I don't know, man. I don't know if they're actually like, listen, I don't like this term white. I really don't. I think you should identify with your region, right? I'm an Appalachian. I think you should identify with your region, right? Makes more sense. Geographically, you have to be linked to your people. Like, are you wherever you are, right? Pick a place other than California, right? And if you're California, are you the same type of person as somebody in New Jersey? The same culture, same ideas, same way of life, same way of talking. Do you sound like me? Oh, you don't sound like me. What is white? I mean, Oren McIntyre, he's white. That's a white dude, right? Dave Green, he's a white dude, right? Those two are the same people. Are they the same as me, though? No, listen, they ain't the same as me. They ain't me. Right? They ain't like us over here. Right? Let's be honest here. Okay, let's keep this on, let's get this 100% honest. Who are your people? You gotta have an in group. Gotta have an out group. I get it, bro. Like, I 100% understand where Nick's coming from, right? I do. Like, he's a Catholic. I'm a Catholic, too. I understand, right? I was born a Catholic, right? Tend to be more pagan nowadays, right? Because, like, I just fucking hate Christians. Like, they're fucking pain in my ass all the fucking time, right? It's like the Philadelphia Eagles, all right? Like, I'm from PA. I hate the Philly. I hate the Eagles. Why? Because I hate their fucking fan base, all right? They're fucking terrible people, right? Like, it's just... Every Christian I meet's a terrible human being. They're fucking garbage. I have two little brothers that are fucking goddamn Christians. They haven't met not one of my kids. And I got 8 of them. One of them's 23 fucking years old. Ain't met them. And it's not for me not trying. Be honest here.
Enough for us. That's low energy white nationalism, they say. This is how the world works. And I'm going to tell you something. The Muslims are united. They are absolutely united. They rove in gangs. They do their call to prayer. It is a form of conquest in Europe. The black people in America are united. When one of them gets taken down by...
Yeah, Andrew Noello. Remember the movie 300, right? Where, like, you know, my man, like, literally, like, fucking killed and kicked the messenger into the fucking town well, right? Something like that happened. They didn't kick him into a town well because that would be dumb. You poison your water supply. It's fucking stupid, right? But, like, that actually happened, right? And when that happened, like, that was considered a major violation, right? Even back then, right? Like, Genghis Khan, there was a city that killed a couple of messengers, right? And that was a city that he made, like, the fucking throne and pyramid out of skulls out of. Right? Like, this is 100%. Like, this is an old practice. You don't kill messengers and diplomats. You just don't do it. If diplomats fuck up, that is the responsibility of the government. It is not the responsibility of you and your fucking nation, right? And I went over this, right? I went over all this type of shit. It's the Articles of Vienna, or Vienna Agreement, or whatever the fuck it is in 1961. But it's been tested many times. And like, there's times when countries go, yeah, prosecute that piece of shit, right? And then there's times when countries go, nah, listen, bring him here, and and we'll deal with him, right? Or they go, yeah, we're gonna recall him, and then we're not gonna put him back in your country again, right? And our country might like expel, or somebody else's country might expel something. This happens all over the fucking world all the time, right? This is a normal thing.
The cops, they're all rioting. And they're all looking out for each other, and they vote for black candidates. And the Jews are united all the way. When Israel's under attack, everybody's all hands on deck. And the white people are divided. Who's going to win? We're not having children. We're divided. We're fighting each other. We're teaming up with the Jews. We're teaming up with the blacks. We're teaming up with the Muslims. The white people are divided. Who will win? The blacks know who they are. They're looking out for each other. If one of their people is not doing so hot, they look out for them. Same with the Muslims. Same with the Jews. What about whites?
Yo, listen, the reason I'm standing up for Nick is not because he's white. It's because he's a paisan. Because he's Italian. He looks like my uncles and shit. Well, when they were younger, my cousins, right? Because I got my grandma on my dad's side, like literally she's from her family's from fucking Chicago, right? She's a Guinea from Chicago, right? And they all look like this. It's weird. Chicago Guineas are different than like East Coast Guineas. Like the East Coast Guineas are the Guineas you used to, like the pot belly, motherfucking, bald headed. Get the fuck out of here, right? Them guys, right? Like, and that's the people I take after. Got to work hard to keep that, like body from forming. And it always fucking does, right? Right now, I'm fucked at the moment. It's so hard to keep weight off. But like, yeah, they're all skinny motherfuckers like this. But like, yeah, I support him because he's a paisan. It's not because he's white, right? And because, like, listen, I feel like he's fighting a good fight and he's by his fucking self. And, I always root for the underdog. That's the liberal in me. I apologize. I can't get it the fuck out of me. I feel like it's not a terrible trait, though.
Whites look at Gavin Newsom and say, fuck that race communist. I hate him. Gavin Newsom's white.
Yo, what up, Walter? How the fuck you doing, my brother?
Are you getting it now? The thing about Gavin Newsom, he looks white to me. J.D. Vance's family, not so much. Not so much.
J.D. Vance's family looks very, very white to me. Wait. Are you talking about his wife and children? Yeah, you're right. They look like street shitters. I agree.
Gavin Newsom's white. Greta Thunberg is white. The Europeans, like Keir Starmer, they're white. Stephen Miller is not. Stephen Miller's a Jew. Darren Beattie is a Jew. Mike Benz is a Jew. Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, these guys are Jews. This is the kind of consciousness we're going to need. We are going to have to start looking at liberal white people, not as our ontological enemy, but as our wayward brothers. Prodigal son. We have to have a racial.
Can we shout out Curtis Yarvin at the moment, bruh? Listen, this is the problem, man. Listen, like, yo, you gotta. I fucking hate the fact that, like, we have this anger towards the Jew, right? Because I feel like the anger should be towards the Anglo, right? Because, like, that's the motherfucker that keeps selling everybody the fuck out to them, right? Like, when you have a strong culture, right, you can't be taken advantage of. KRS One said some brilliant, even death respects purpose. Like, when you're on your purpose, like, ain't nobody moving you, ain't nobody fucking with you when you're doing what you're fucking meant to fucking do, right? Shit'll work. this is the fucking problem, man. Like, this is legit. This is the goddamn problem. Is like, legitimately, when you start like fucking trying to hop into somebody else's square, when you're trying to like chase, you know what I mean? Like, you're trying to chase the wicked. You get into their square, you get into their fucking shit, and like, they fuck you up. It's like Mark Twain said, like, don't argue with stupid people. They'll drag you down to their level and beat you to death down there. Right? Like, you gotta fucking stand here and understand it. Like, you know, this shit that we're talking about, right? You need culture. That's the thing. It's not Christianity that'll save you. It's your culture. It's your superstitions. It's your fucking basic way of life. It's what you do every day. It's how you eat. It's the things that you pass down to your kids. The shit that you own. Your legacy. That's what saves you. And when you stop thinking about that, when you stop having that, all of a sudden it's just you. And you're by yourself. And all you can do is care about how you do. That's the problem with liberalism. Not that whole, like, you know, oh, fucking transgender rights shit. I'm talking about, like, John Locke. I'm talking Voltaire. I'm talking Enlightenment. That's the problem with that shit. That whole idea is just about profit and yourself. You gotta lose that idea that you're an individual. You're part of a collective, a group. You're part of a people. You're part of a bloodline. If you don't have that, you're lost. One man can't fight an army. An army can fight an army. An army can't conquer a fucking solidified people. Look what the Taliban did to the motherfucking American fucking soldiers. Look what they did to the fucking Russians. When you're fucking people, when you're on your purpose, when you fucking standing there and saying, no, we want to keep what we have. That they didn't fight because like they hated us. They fighted because they loved what they had. They loved themselves. They loved their way of life. They loved who they were. Come on, man. Let's be honest.
Consciousness where we look at liberal white people sympathetically, actually. And I know that's hard for white people to do. We have to look at them not as the enemy and Stephen Miller's like our best friend. No, Stephen Miller hates white people. Listen to the way they talk about us. Stephen Miller said these stupid white hippies. I like white hippies, actually. They're annoying sometimes, but they're white. And hear this kind of slander all the time. They talk about white female liberals. You ever hear that? J.D. Vance says it's these white cat ladies. You're married to an Indian woman. You have lost your right to talk about white women ever again. J.D.
Yo, hold up. Bro, hold up, dog. I gotta hear that one again, son. I gotta hear that one again.
J.D. Vance says it's these white cat ladies. You're married to an Indian woman. You have lost your right to talk about white women ever again.
Yo. Ooh. Yo, listen, in the chat, tell me, was that great? Because I felt like that was great. Tell me that was great.
JD, you have lost your right ever to insult white women because you married an Indian woman. You don't get to say that white women are the problem. You married an Indian woman, you have all Indian kids. You don't get to talk about white cat ladies. And by the way, that's not brave either. And here's the litmus test. If you aren't willing to say it's all these Jews, if you're not willing to say it's all these black thugs, then you can never say it's white female liberals, it's stupid white hippies. That is just anti-white hatred. Newsflash, and that's a fair standard. If
All right, yo, listen. Yo, listen. Yo, it's not about getting laid, dog. It's not about getting laid. Right? It's about the fact that, like, he married and then had kids with an Indian woman, right? This is a dude who was like a Marine, right? This is a dude who was like in college, right? On a GI Bill, right? Fucking, and graduated summa cum laude out of motherfucking Ohio State, right? This is a dude, right, who's doing like, he's on the up and coming, right? He's being groomed to be something big, right? This is a dude who's like 6'2", right? He is not like a bitch, right? He can get pussy. I mean, maybe. He does have like a weird fucking round fucking face, right? But it's not the fact that he could be picky. It's the fact that like, he could have had a white bitch is kind of where it's at. You know what I mean? Right. Let's keep going.
Vance and Miller, if these people, if they don't feel comfortable saying the problem is all these scheming Jews, the problem is all these black thugs, if you're not comfortable saying that, then don't you dare say it's all these white female liberals and white cat ladies and white stupid boomers. You cannot say that. That is anti-white hatred. And Vance lost his right to...
Let me say this, okay? The boomers are an issue. On my channel, on my Substack, everywhere I go, I talk about the boomers, right? We talk about the boomers all the time. Walter knows we talk about the fucking boomers. Jesus Christ, have we talked about the goddamn boomers and what they've done to us, the terrible places that they've left us in. I blame them, but this is a big but. I know for sure that they all have lead poisoning. This issue with them having lead poisoning as an in general thing has fucked up their brain. And on a big level, it's not like a little level. It's fucked them up like permanently. Like they have brain damage. To the point where like they can't stand here and like think about anybody else but themselves. So like, yes, and this is why I want to shout out Yarvin. Yarvin talked about like if you're going to become like a leader of this empire that we have, right? You have to like, you can't just kill off people. You have to like govern them better than they could govern themselves. You have to like treat them unexpectedly well. That's like, you're not, it has to go past monkey politics. That's literally his words. Same words Nick's using. Fucking crazy, right? I can blame the Jews for what the Jews have done, right? The amount of bodies in their wake is ridiculous. They're whining about the Holocaust is the most annoying shit ever. Their fuckery of like blackmailing our people is terrible. Them spying on our government and our government officials is awful. AIPAC is trash. I fucking can't stand all these things, right? Bibi Netanyahu like being able to just walk into Congress and like just have like a fucking like standing there and giving them a speech. Terrible, right? Them being dual citizens and being allowed to like be fucking in our government. Listen, it should never happen. And that's for any country, but especially Israel, right? Us backing them up instead of the Muslims, which I, by the way, listen, I like Muslims, right? This is a thing. all the bad things that they do all the time, the porn industry, the fucking taking advantage of people in the music industry, fucking helping like get us all addicted to terrible shit, them being like terrible doctors and spreading nonsense, the garbage with like fucking COVID, just all the shit that they do, right? The Divorce Inc. shit, right? There's a lot of things that I hate the goddamn Jews for, right? That I hate what they do. But, big fucking but, would never happen if we had a proper fucking culture and real nations that we said we care about us and our people, and we care about making our human capital, our people, better. It's that simple. The problem isn't the Jews. The problem is them us not caring about ourselves. That's the issue. It's the greed, the need for convenience. That's the problem that needs solved. We have to look at us, because we can only correct us. We cannot correct, right, just the Jews. You take away the Jews, everything still stays the same. Nothing changes. Sort of like our Middle East policy, maybe. But even then, we'll still be greedy and still be trying to take shit the fuck over. We need to have real conversations about things. We need to like stand here and understand that like this is not a problem of one group of people from outside. This is a problem of motherfuckers who can't close the goddamn door. Let's keep going.
To say that. Let's stop blaming ourselves. People are tripping over themselves to blame the white man, blame white liberals, blame white women, blame what. And I got my gripes with white women, don't get me wrong. But I will not hear that from Stephen Miller. I will not take that from Stephen Miller. You are a Jew. You are a guest here. You do not get to talk shit about white hippies. I will not take that from J.D. Vance. You married some Indian immigrant. You have no right now to talk about white women in America. You have lost that right. This is about how the world works, everybody. This is about how the world works. So this is like a little case study, but you peel back the layers and it tells you something about how the world really works. What you find is that the Jews are acting as a unit, and they're extremely powerful. And
see, here's the problem. The dude who just came in the chat, right? See, I'm Italian, right? I'm not a Jew. I'm Italian, and my people came here and acted together. Okay, and we made sure our neighborhoods were safe, and we fucking kept, you know what I mean, like fucking blacks out, and we fucking did all these things that were good for the neighborhood, right? We fucking killed chomos and did all this type of stuff, right? You know, we made sure our people were okay. The problem is, right, is that your government came in and your people came in and forced us, right, to like swallow all the fucking garbage liberal nonsense, right, that destroyed us. It wasn't the Jews who did that. It was y'all. I remember being a kid, right, and I lived in like a really poor neighborhood because, like, you know, my family were like mobbed back in the day, and like, you know, they got popped, and my grandfather went to jail for selling a truckload of meat for the reception, for my mom's wedding reception. And like, he was very poor by the time I came along. And my mom was poor, and she left my dad and took us to homeless shelters and stuff. And so, like, you know, we were broke. We were in this bad neighborhood, but like, it wasn't like a bad neighborhood. It was like on the outskirts of the city, right? And it was like Irish and Italians and Puerto Ricans and blacks, right? And like, we had 2 high schools in my school district, right? You know what I mean? And we had 27 elementary schools, and we had like 4 junior highs, And when I went to high school, the place I went to high school, they were going to combine the two high schools. Now, the one high school was like a shithole high school where, like, you know, it was just all like just the poorest of the apartment buildings, and like my neighborhood where like they dumped all the immigrants and just all this type of shit, right? And they were going to combine us, and so like we would get access to like better shit, right? And I remember being at the school board meeting, and like the Anglos from the suburbs stood up, not the Jews. Jews are in a different school district. They have a little enclave of their own. The Anglos stood up and they said, we don't want our kids going to school with these animals. As a parent, I understand this. Right? I have 8 children. I get it. I get that you want your kids to like be in a safe place. As that 10-year-old or 12-year-old kid listening to that, right? It makes you understand that, like, you know, this isn't a squabble about like just race and shit, right? This isn't the Jews. This has always been Anglos pushing nonsense that made them money, and then them making enough money to avoid that shit that they pushed. That's what college is for, right? College is to go learn things, right, that will destroy the lower class, and then making enough money to avoid being in the lower class. Or lower middle class as a whole. Working class. We have been, and this is not a Jewish thing. This is an Anglo thing. The Jews are always at the forefront of the media, right? The Anglos use them. They've been doing that for years and years and years and years and years. Going back, you know what I mean, like fucking 200-300 years. The Jews are very talented when it comes to certain things. Media is one of them. Banking, mathematics is another one. It's the reason why they're overrepresented in the fucking Nobel Prizes for like mathematics and physics and science. The Italians are too, believe it or not. We're like number 4 in the world. This is an issue that you have to have real like you have to like have nuanced conversations about. You have to understand that, like, yo, listen, this idea of, like, right now, it's not the Jews pushing AI and automation towards workers. It's the Anglos who want convenience and a way to be able to, like, keep that stock number going up, keep that GDP number going up, so that they can keep having them tax receipts come in. So they can keep the boomers retired. They can keep the system running. They can keep the management class being able to have cheap shit. Because they don't care about the workers. They don't care about, like, the people. It's not the Jews. To be a fact, Eric Weinstein, right, the guy from the Portal, the intellectual dark web, he was ostracized out of a very good government job because he tried to fix CPI so that it showed real inflation. Right, not that bullshit that we have today, where it's like, oh, it's not, the inflation's only 2%. Like, no, really? I mean, because like hamburgers like up like $2 a pound right now. Gas is ridiculous. The cost of rent's insane. He said, well, like, Eric was like, listen, I came up with a fucking ability to, like, you know, add in consumer preference into this so we can, you know what I mean, like, make the CPI work properly. Well, that would have costed more billions and billions of dollars a year out of government coffers They wanted to continue to hide the inflation. A Jew was trying to fix the system because he's an honest man. Because he thought it wasn't fair that, like, the government was able to inflate the currency without taking care of, like, the agreements that they honored. He wanted, expectation to meet reality. Isn't that important? Isn't that what it's supposed to do? Like, I don't know, man. Is it the Jews? Really? Is it? When he wrote a paper called Immigration for All that said, if you want to go shopping on the international market as a corporation, as a factory, to go replace your workers, you should have to pay your workers for their exclusive access rights, right? Because say, like, you have a job in, I don't know, Cincinnati, whatever, right? You have a factory in Cincinnati. The people in Cincinnati have exclusive access to that labor market. They moved there. They lived there. They raised families there. Bought houses there. They have debt there. If you want to move that factory, the people who work there, don't you owe them something for investing in your company in that area? Shouldn't you, like, have credits, something? Like, you should give them something. You shouldn't just leave and watch everything that was built off of those jobs dilapidate and the entire place turn into Beirut. Was that Jews that did that? I don't think that was Jews that did that. I think that was Anglos that did that. Weinstein tried to help fix it. There are plenty of Jews that benefited at Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan. Sure, 100%. But ultimately, the government decided to sell out its own people to continue its system. Destroy its own fucking working class. Destroy its own people. Leave them impoverished. And then blamed them. Let's be honest here.
When we are disorganized, that makes us subject to their decisions. We face justice, they take care of their own. We're individuals, we're fighting for our lives, it's a free-for-all. They're playing a team sport. They're in a team deathmatch, we're in a free-for-all. They're rolling 13 deep, and we're fighting 25 people on the map. You understand the difference? And that's where some of this logic enters in. People like Curtis Yarvin, Bronze Age Pervert, the rest of them, you can't trust them. They're not one of us. They're not Americans. They're not white. Don't come in and tell me we got to accept J.D. Vance now. All this stuff is related. And I would even say the same thing about Candace Owens. Candace Owens married a white man who's not even American. They're in a mixed race relationship, and she married someone who isn't even American. And she wants to say that young men shouldn't listen to me. Oh, what, should they listen to you? They should listen to you, the race mixer, who has this very weird, obviously an arranged marriage. I don't even want to unpack that. Does she want to go into that? You want to tell us what's going on with that? So anyway, but this is a demonstration of how this country really works. Never forget, this is not about some lone Israeli that came here and committed a crime. This is about a system that protects its own people. And what does that tell you about America? If this guy gets picked up on federal sex crime charges and he's able to flee back to Israel, what does that tell you about America? It tells you that we are infiltrated. It tells you that somewhere or in many places in our society and government, we have got infiltrators. We have got spies. That is a problem. If members of a foreign government can come here and commit crimes and they have accomplices in our government, that's a huge problem. And what do you think needs to be done about that? What are we supposed to do with this information? We're supposed to shrug our shoulders and say, oh, well. No, these people need to be removed from their position. Understand? The doctrine needs to be this. We need something like the Red Scare in America. The U.S. government needs to take a look at all the personnel in the federal law enforcement, in the intelligence apparatus, in the defense apparatus, and we need to see how many of these people are Israeli spies. And we need to find them, we need to arrest them, and we need to send them back to Israel. Otherwise, we are an infiltrated society. We are not safe here.
Yeah, listen, I agree. By the way, Adam Hart's, listen, I'll be real with you. Like, the moment you put this dude in the title, bro, last time I had his name in the title, I had 75 people fucking watching the show. So, like, listen, we're going to ring this bell a little bit, all right, dog? But, like, listen, I agree with his mentality. And I've spoken about this multiple times. You should not have any dual citizens or people born, how do I put this? People born in hostile nations in your fucking government. Spies are weird. Right? I don't know if you ever watched Charlie Wilson's War or not. Right? There was a first generation Greek guy, right, who conducted the war in Afghanistan back in against the Russians, right, against the Mujahideen, right. Well, with the Mujahideen against the Russians. Right. This is like back in like 90, 89, something like that. This guy who conducted the war, I forget his fucking name. It's like Garanopolis or some shit like that. He was a Greek from Pennsylvania. Right. One of us. And this dude, he ended up getting turned down for assignments, even though, like, you know, as an Eastern European, he was, you know what I mean, like, more than capable of, like, doing a lot of these type of jobs, right? Because he was a first generation immigrant. Now, thing is, this is very important to understand. As a Greek, right, as an American citizen, right, there's no reason to think that, like, yo, putting him into, like, Poland or, like, into, like, Lithuania or any of these type of places. I think he wanted the Helsinki job, which I forget what fucking country it is, to be honest with you. Right, Iceland, some shit, whatever. It wouldn't be a mitigating factor. It wouldn't be an issue. But, like, when you're talking about, like, having Israeli people in the government, in your office, right, who constantly want war. You got to go back to Machiavelli's Art of War, where Artemis, he said, listen, you know, like, you don't want me, right, to be a permanent fixture. Because, like, if I make my living through war, I'm going to constantly want war. And so, like, if you have an Israelis constantly surrounding everybody around, your government, around your leaders, and they're constantly beating the drum for fucking war, you're going to constantly be at fucking war all the time. Just is what it is. It's a basic ass premise. Nobody should have the amount of fucking representation in government that they fucking do. It's too many. Right? Say what you want. Listen, and this is really important to understand. If you want to hire a whole bunch of Jewish accountants to do accounting work, if they're good at that shit, by all means, yes. Right? I'm trying to think like somebody else that does like shit that's really good. If you want to hire a whole bunch of Puerto Ricans to do the mechanic work, right? Like, yo, by all means do it. Like, yeah, because like, yo, they're not going to cause problems, right? They're not going to always be over here like, hey, listen, man, you know what I mean? Like, you know, fucking, you should drive your car a little faster so I have more work. Nah, but listen, they're lazy. Like, they're like the rest of us, right? You know, they don't want to work that much. But, like, they're good at what they do. Right? This is what I'm saying. People are good at shit. It's different. But, like, you can't have motherfuckers who are constantly, like, in decision-making positions, right? And inability to, like interfere and, like, you know, fucking cause problems. And who have the, like, reason to cause problems, right? The probable cause, right? The motive to constantly cause problems around all the fucking time. Because, like, you know, it is a belligerent nation in that region of the country, in that region of the world. It is a constant belligerent. Anyway, bro, listen, let's keep going.
Understand? And how do you think you're going to find the Israeli spies? What do you think you're going to look for first? When you're looking for the Israeli spies that have penetrated our government, they're in the DOJ, they're in the DOD, they're in DHS, they're in the State Department. When you're looking for their accomplices in the private sector that are organizing shell companies and venture capital tech firms, who do you think you're going to look for? You're going to look for Jews. And you're going to interview them, and you're going to look at who their parents are and who they talk to on the phone, and you're going to investigate their business. And some of them are patriots, I'm sure. But I'd venture to guess a lot of them, when you turn over that stone, you're going to find a lot of stuff that you didn't want to see. And the obvious reason that nobody wants to go there is because they don't want to wind up like JFK. That's the red pill. That's the uncomfortable reality. And people want to say, is it about Zionists? Is it about Israelis? Is it the Frankists? Is it the whatever? This, in a nutshell, is the issue. These Jewish people are looking out for Israel. By extension, they're looking out for each other. Because we have an open society, they have been allowed to become very powerful. Because we're an open society, we let people born in other countries worshiping strange gods have power over us. And what happens to an open society? It gets penetrated. An open society gets fucked. It gets infiltrated. And in order for America to be strong, in order for America to be aligned, we have to root that out. And people like to then play the what about game. What about China? What about this? Yeah, and get that out too. We're already on top of that. They're shutting down the Confucius Institutes. Why haven't they shut down the ADL? They investigated the mosques. Why have they never investigated the Shabbat dinners? They've done all that before. And that gets national attention. When Saudi killed Jamal Khashoggi, there was national attention. There was a diplomatic split. But this stuff with Israel gets swept under the rug, and people call it anti-Semitic, and nothing is ever done. Now they're trying to divert our attention, and we're supposed to pay attention to Muslims again. I can't even believe they're running that playbook. Charlie Kirk is making it out like Muslims are the problem here. Muslims don't run America. Jews do. Everyone knows that. It's unbelievable. Get a new script. Get a new script. It's just like I've never seen anything like it. So anyway, so that's that. And that tells you about what is really happening in the country. All you have to do is distill.
Y'all, listen. All right, I want to show you a couple things. All right. So this is my world map of like how things work, right? Well, I saw the map and I just wanted to bring it up, you know what I mean? Because this is like a secondary thing, but I thought it was funny, right? Spider Place, right? Like, Wakanda, Lion Place, Oil Land, Phone Scanners, China, Dragon Ball Z, Commieland, IKEA Place, Ice People, America's Snow Hat, Drugs Are Us, Mexico, and Snow Russia. Right? Listen, this is my world map. You know what I mean? I figured y'all would appreciate this. But this is the one I really wanted to like fucking bring up, right? Okay, so look. What you need, right, are actual nations. Okay. If you want to have like a cohesive society, right? You've tried Christianity for a long time and it has not worked, right, at all. Okay, and the reason is because like Christianity is a glue, and it's not, it's like a tarp over top of things, right? It's not a foundation. It's not a house, right? What you need is a house, right? You need people who have economic ties, right? Who have land ties, who have geographical ties, who, are like, similar in like their way of life, right? And what they see every day, like how they move and how they act, right? This is this, right? This is what you need. This is the shit that like you're supposed to have as a people, right? I've been talking about this for years, right? And everybody's like, oh, it's gonna cause wars, and China, da da da. Like, listen, China's not gonna do shit. Okay, China can't escape the first island chain without us being there, right? But this is what you need. You need to have your own nations and your own people with your own dialects and your own culture and your own ways of life. These type of things. If you don't have this, like, you're not going to end up having the ability to do the things that you're talking about with this, because you have to care about yourselves first. You have to be a cohesive people first before you can do any of this shit.
Distill it down to those principles. There's a lot of confusion on this. People say, is it all Jews? Is it Israel? Is it Zionists? Is it this genocide in Gaza? People are tripping over themselves to say, oh, but as long as they don't support the genocide, as long as they're, the good ones, look, they have a proclivity to look out.
It's okay. I'm glad you like the map.
Out for each other. That's kind of the issue. And if it's illegal for us to do,
make sure as you walk in, you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe button, you know what I'm saying? Maybe throw me a dono. Go to the Substack, in the link in the description, right? Drop a sub over there. If you enjoy this content, maybe you'll enjoy my other content. All right?
Do it. That's a big problem. It's an us problem. Wouldn't it be nice? Think about it. Wouldn't it be nice if, like Shabbos Kestenbaum, think about a Jewish American versus a white American. If you're a Jewish American, you can apply for all these Jewish programs. You get to go to Jewish community centers and rub shoulders with powerful Jewish people there. You have a Jewish fraternity on the college campus.
See, Nick, you're an Italian. We used to have the same thing. We used to have, and we still do. You can go to Sons of Italy and do the same thing, right? There's a Sons of Italy in your city, and there's a bunch of them probably, to be honest with you. And you can go there and you can get scholarships, and you can get you can rub shoulders with like top end business people and all these type of things. We have these things. We just don't utilize them anymore because we think we're white. This is the issue, buddy.
At the college admissions office, you get to say, oh, I'm Jewish, and the president of the university's Jewish. Like Shabbos Kestenbaum, if you face discrimination, you hear something you don't like about Israel, you get to phone up the ADL. You get to phone up a Jewish lawyer, bring a DOJ civil rights complaint against Harvard. Did you see the knowing glance that Aiden Ross and I forget who it was some Jewish billionaire. I think it was Robert Kraft. Did you see the knowing glance that Robert Kraft exchanged with Aiden Ross in that video years ago, where Aiden Ross said, I'm Jewish, and his face lit up? How about when Alex Stein went on Roseanne Barr and Alex said, I'm Jewish, and Roseanne said, oh, I knew I liked you for a reason. That's why you're so funny. This is how these people are. You contrast that with the...
Yeah, it's the same way with us, buddy. Right? It's the same way with us. Right? Every paisano meets another paisano, and we chin check each other, and then we become best friends. It's just how it works. And you tend to have the same thing with like the Portuguese too, as well, right? Like I meet Portuguese guys, right? Fucking, I have a buddy Capo, right? You know, and every time he comes into a VC with me, I'm like, you know, I'll be talking about something, you know, and I'll be like, yeah, but listen, the real problem is those fucking Portuguese, right? Those filthy, disgusting mongrels, right? We need to fucking bathe them in like the Marianas Trench, right? And he's like, you fucking Appalachian Guinea motherfucker, you, right? You know, it is hilarious, right? But that's what we do. You know, you have that with your own people. You just gotta, like, you know, be around your own people. You're not white. They don't see you as white. They think you're black. This is the fucking problem. And I get it, dude. I am 100% understand. I get it. Like every time I bring you up to somebody the fuck else, it's literally like, yo, but he's black, right? You know, he's not actually white. He's not a white person. He's a fucking Fed, man. Listen, yo, why would a fucking Mexican be fucking helping? All this shit, bro. Always. Every time.
A white person, and dude, white people's parents tell them, I'm not going to leave you an inheritance. I had to work for it. You got to work for it too. It's like white people are going out of their way not to look out for each other, not to help each other, not to help their own family. They think they're a good person if they help everybody else. White people pat themselves on the back for passing over their own kind and helping someone from another group. We're the only one.
Yo, listen. I got two little brothers. They've been on mission trips to Africa to go dig wells. They ain't never bought none of my kids a birthday gift. Real shit. White people. Annoy the fuck out of me. Right? They're not guineas either. That's the real bitch, right? Like, listen, I'm 3/4. They're like fucking 1/4. Right? Because their mom's like a full-blood Anglo. Right? Old money. Right? And my dad's a half-breed. My mom's a full-blood. Right? So it is what it is. Right? Yeah. Listen. They're fucking heavy Christians. Heavy Christians. It's weird, though. I went to my brother's wedding. I had to invite myself because I didn't get an invitation. I wore a suit, you know what I mean? Like, listen, I'm going to wear a suit, you know what I mean? Because, like, you know, I'm not showing up to my brother's wedding all bummy and shit. You know, wore a proper suit, pinstripe, fucking fedora. Oh, nah. I'm looking right. Nice shoes. I think they were like Ferragamos or some shit like that. Stacey Adams shoes, right? He's getting married. They're both barefoot in the grass with a dog between them, and they get married by like a bull dyke. Fuck out of here, bruh. Christians, white Christians, believe in shit.
ones that do this. We're the only ones. All the Dunkin' Donuts are run by Indians because they keep it in the family and they help each other. And they are very traditional. They marry within their race. And the Muslims are the same way. Muslim businesses help each other. They give each other interest-free loans, business advice, all this kind of stuff. They help each other. They congregate. Jews do this. Black people do this. There's programs. There's all kinds of things. White people are and that is the essence of being cucked. That is the essence of being cucked. That white people are calling each other's liberals and conservatives, Republicans and Democrats. Every other group is helping their own kind in meaningful ways. The kids, they're kids. They're setting their kids up for success. And white people are abandoning our own kind. And that's why the future does not belong to us as it stands right now. So anyway, that's how this whole, that's why, you know, I would characterize the differences between me and a Charlie Kirk or a Tucker or a Matt Walsh or a Vance is I am talking about identity. Excuse me, I'm talking about race. I'm talking about these things that are central to who we are. And the dividing lines, how the world really works.
Me too. Me too, dog. Me too. I can't tell you how many times I hear motherfuckers defend these practices of going like, yeah, listen, you know what I mean? The strongest of us survive because like, yo, we don't care about each other. So it makes us so great. You know, rich white people don't follow these fucking rules. They really don't. They help their fucking kids. They take care of them. They buy them everything they fucking need. They get them tutors, right? They get them au pairs. Make sure they get to their athletic practices and, you know what I mean, their extracurricular activities. Some middle class whites, poor whites that don't do shit for their fucking kids. Poor whites try, but they just fuck this shit. I'm gonna tell you like this, man. I'm not raising my kids to be part of the economy because I don't fucking care. I feel a way about feeding them to this fucking monster at this point. I'm raising my kids to be part of my family and my community. That's how I feel about it. But you know what? My kids need some shit. I got them. My son just turned 21. Needed a car. He's like, listen, Pops, I'm working on something. I saved up this much money. Bro, listen, I ain't got enough to cover like everything. I was like, listen, like whatever you ain't got, I got. And make sure you had it. Because I want him to be successful. I want him to be okay. I want him to be good. And I told him, I said, listen, don't be scared of shit. Worst come to worst, I always got you. You'll never fucking be homeless. Promise you that. You ain't got to worry about all that, man. You can always come home. I don't give a fuck. That's what you're supposed to do for your fucking kids. It's fucking dumb shit, man. Anyway, yo, look, I'm Tom Peace and Pnoid Dudes. Y'all know the deal. Y'all like, share, and subscribe. I'm the fuck up.